Welcome, a warm good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, arunfoot. Tonight, the topic, as it says here on the graphic, we will discuss the Indian national team squad, which Igor Stimac has announced for the upcoming match against Kuwait. And looking forward to this discussion. Hopefully, it'll be an interesting one, guys. And as always, do leave me your comments. As always, do subscribe to arunfoot, also to my other social media handles on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Threads, and of course also visit arunfoot.com. Well, that's great. Hi and good evening from my side as well, Kumar. And let's go back. I yesterday sort of highlighted a little the squad that Igor Stimac has announced, and like to do that once again and just go through quickly the players that he's announced, and you guys let me know if you think this is the right squad, or did Stimac miss out someone here or there. So therefore, let me know what you think. Would be interesting as always to get an opinion on these things. And therefore, it's going to be interesting if and when we talk about this. Once again, let's start with the goalkeepers: Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, Amrinder Singh, and Vishal Keth. Those are the three goalkeepers that have been appointed and called up into the team. We have Amay Ranawade, Anwar Ali, Jay Gupta, Lancho Nunga, Mehtab Singh, Narinder, Nikhil Pujari, Rahul Beke, Subhashish Bose. In midfield, we have Anirudh Thapa, Brandon Fernandez, Edmund Lalrindika, Jeekson Singh, Lalin Zwala Changte, Liston Colasso, Mahesh Singh Naurem, Nandakumar Sekar, Sahal Abdul Samad, Suresh Singh Wanjam. And then as strikers, we have David Lalansanga, Manveer Singh, Rahim Ali, Sunil Chhetri, and Vikram Pratap Singh. So that's the squad that Igor has called up. And just one second, let me just check once more. Two players who've been left out due to injuries are Parthiv Gogoi and defender Hamid, who have been asked 7 to 14 days rest, so which potentially means that they are not available on the days of the camp. But the others who've been left out are Pubala Chempa, Imran Khan, and Jitin MS. So that's that. Earlier 9 players had also been announced who are not fit at the moment, who are not available at the moment due to injuries, or in the case of Apuya, due to an exam that he has. And Kumar says Putia should be there. He's consistently performing with the Disha. Kumar, I couldn't agree less or couldn't agree more with you. I do agree that Putea is one of those players who I think would have deserved a call up, but again has not received a call up. So that's a sad reality of things. That is what we have at the moment, and therefore hopefully Putea does get called up. Maybe under Stimac, maybe under someone else down the road, down the future, because at the moment, again, I said Stimac has not called him up, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. So let me know when we go through the team. Goalkeepers, again, Pubala Chempa is the one who's been left out. Gurpreet, Amrinder, and Vishal Keth are the three who've been chosen. Again, where I think I've said that multiple times. If I look at how the coach decides on his players in regard to goalkeepers, a lot of trust in Gurpreet. Sometimes, of course, when he didn't trust Gurpreet, he had trust in Amrinder. So those two have been sort of interswitching positions for quite a while. He's not shown the trust in Vishal Keth or in Purvala Chempa, which is sort of the goalkeepers of the next generation. Even though Vishal and Purvala Chempa have been sort of performing consistently, at least over the last 2 seasons. So therefore, it remains in the situation that the coach sticks to mainly those two, and then the third goalkeeper is sort of who is the third one, right? If we go to defenders, Kumar has a statement. What is this? Now we keep on relying on Sandesh Jigan and Anwar Ali. He does not try any other new centre back pair because of Sandesh injury. Rahul Beke force no chances give to any new young centre back like Lal Chununga. That's something Kumar agree. That's I think it's one of the problems that Steve Much has had. That I think I've said that a lot of times, especially last year around the Tri Nation and the Intercontinental Cup, that the coach had his opportunities, in my opinion, to try out players, and those didn't do that. The SAF, maybe could have been the tried or the one other thing, maybe at the group stages at least. But again, you don't try out things in the world qualifiers. You will have to go in with something final working for you. And from my perspective, again, as you say, in the Asian Cup, you were forced. To me, is something that you were forced to play Rahul Beke at some stage. I mean, Rahul Beke and Subhashish Bose at the end of the Asian Cup were actually our centre back pairing. So we're talking about two guys who are not natural centre backs. He's tried out Mehtab Singh. I have to give him that. He's tried out Mehtab Singh in the match. Mehtab hasn't convinced him that much. Lal Chununga also, if one is honest, hasn't had the best of seasons. And if I look at the squad, who else do I have? I have Narinder as a potential centre back, and then we're stuck with that, right? So therefore, we have a centre back problem. That's why Mohamed Ahmed was also picked into the probables list to try out someone new. So therefore, that's something that one has to look at it. Kumar, you're saying Punjab FC Indian centre back, for his name. Are you talking about Melroy SCC? Are you talking about Melroy? I don't know if you're talking about someone else. So therefore, for me, it's a difficult one, right? So therefore, for us to look at things and think about things, it's a challenge. I would say, Acha, you're calling Mitay, you're being Suresh Mitay, okay. But again, who is of the level to really play for the Indian national team? So that's, I think, the big challenge, I think, that Steve Much has to try and find the right players. And again, we don't have that. In certain positions, we don't have that pool, where we can really try out things and bring in players, because we don't have that much of a pool. It's not like on the positions of the wings or attacking midfielder positions. We've got tons of players who we potentially could play, because those are positions that a lot of players play in the ISL. So therefore, that's a position where you have options. But there are other positions where I'd say we're lacking players, and that's, I think, the challenge that we have. And to me, that's a huge challenge that we currently have in regard to getting enough players for positions. So therefore, huge challenge, in my opinion, for the coach in regard to finding suitable centre backs to play for India at international level. And then if I look at also the situation now with left back, for example, Akash Mishra out for a while now. Subhashish Bose is your natural left back, didn't have the best of finishes to the ISL, even though he won the Shield, but had problems, especially with Roy Krishna and with Lalinwala Changte. And then on the other side, Jay Gupta also was struggling towards the end of the season. Wasn't the best. So those are realities. And then on the other side, of course, Nikhil Pujari is a natural right back, at least to the coach. And to me, it was interesting to see if now Amai Ranawade gets playing minutes as an alternative to Nikhil, and then the rest will have to see how they fit in. VK Eating says, sir, don't you think Sunil should retire after India's away match? How F is lying that? VK, I think I've said this for a while. To me, it's always been Sunil has to decide for himself when he thinks it is right to retire. And if Sunil, and I said that if Sunil thinks it is the right time to retire in Kolkata on the 6th of June in a home game against Kuwait, then he needs to retire that. And again, you can talk to the AFF and say, listen, should have played the final game, should have not played. He's played for so long. I think he deserves that he can make that decision of when and where he wants to retire. I'm surely he consulted the coach, he consulted certain other players. I know he said in his video that he consulted his family and his friends. I think, the player has to decide it. It's like when you say, to me is, it's this decision. Sunil had to take it on his own, and I think, and he took it at a time. The one other person will be happy about it. A lot of people will not be happy about it, but that's the reality of, I guess, of things, of when you take such a decision. And to me, very, very clear that Sunil thought this was the right time to take this call, to take this decision, to retire from international football and then sort of move forward, potentially with his playing career at BFC. Again, that's another question which is hanging in there, I guess, which is not 100% clear in my opinion. Is Sunil going to be playing next season of the Indian Super League? Some people are assuming that he will be, but I think that's also not very, very clear what BFC is doing. So therefore, let's see what happens. Umar says, but remember how many years you will give chances to old players try home fun is not more than one game in national colours. And now we do not have a second centre-back tried and tested one. I agree with your last sentence, Kumar, with the tried and tested ones in regard to centre-backs. But to me, as I said, you should have utilized your Tri-Nation. You should have utilized the Intercontinental Cup. Rather than trying to win it, test players in those competitions. It is not something you do, in my opinion, in the SAF Cup. It is not something which you do in the Asian Cup. It's not something which you do in the World Cup qualifiers. For me, very, very clearly, if you wanted to try players, you've had those opportunities. Maybe you try players in the Kings Cup, try players in the Merdeka Cup, right? Those are the matches where the coach should have tried players. But Hormipam, for me, is a player where I'll say is, hasn't played much for the Blasters, on and off. That's the thing. And, and for me is, it's the problem that the coach has also, and that's something which we, to me is very, very clear, is who else are you going to call up? Again, Putia has been mentioned. Sana Singh is, Sana Singh is another one where I'd say, those would be guys that I would have tried. But we're talking about rather older and more experienced players. So the question is, where are the young players here would say they're coming in and, making an impact? Edmund Raldindika is also 25. It's good to see him there, but he's not the youngest. He's been there, and therefore let's wait and see. Mainak, that's a good question. There must be some problem between the player and the coach. That's my only logic of why Sana has been sort of frozen out, out of the national team. That's the only reason that he's not there in the squad. Vinny says, I'm done with Igor selection now. Rip Indian football until it's awake again. Vinit, it's still alive and kicking, so therefore, I will not, let it die, so to say, so easily. VK18 says, what if India got a good result in home match in a way become more important? Now we have player like Reem Ali or David. See, we discussed it yesterday and the day before a little bit. Is the one, there's a hard question out there. As an Indian football fan, as a fan of the Indian national team, I think I and you and the others will always want India to win, right? But we've got a situation here now with the national coach around this team that we are in a situation where, losing might be better for us than winning. Because if we win, India goes in round 3. Theoretically, the contract of the coach gets extended. Now, what happens then? And to me, that's the challenge. So I think that's the most difficult question to ask every Indian football fan is what's the situation now that you want, so to say, after June. I think we all want India to be in the third round of the qualifiers. I don't have a doubt about that. But on the other side, if we're in the third round, theoretically, Steamach's contract gets extended by 2 years. So do we want that? So therefore, very tricky, very, very difficult scenario and question on this, where I think that's something which I think a lot of people will have to struggle. Vineet asking what happened to OCI PIO task force, which was to come at May. Vineet, I said a while back, I mean, what you don't need a task force for this. To me, the players who are eligible, who are good enough, and who want to play for India, that should be known to the AFF. I mean, I know which players are, wanting to play for India and who are eligible and who could make a difference. So that's the point. That's the question to me that I think the AFF needs to answer. This is a question that you're asking that the AFF needs to answer, because you don't need a task force for this, to find out the names of the players. I have a list. If they want to ask me, I'll give it to you. And therefore, yeah, a task force has been created, but that's a problem. Kumar says, now for him, Anwar Ali and centre back pairing worked. Then Igor Stimac washed his off his hands. Centre back pairing testing. He tried to show I'm winning in the South Inter to buy his idea. Yeah, but again, then someone like him who has played at the highest level, who has coached also to a certain level, you should know that in today's game, injuries are part and parcel of the game. I think to me, that's logical. I think I don't need to talk about it, right? But it's a reality. If Sandesh Jhingan and Anwar Ali are my best centre back pairing, yes. But who's my centre back number 3, number 4? He did try and use Mehtab Singh for a while. Mehtab Singh didn't convince, and for a while, since September, October, either Anwar or Sandesh or both, as was the case in the second half against Syria, have been injured. So that's a reality that we have to look at. That's the disturbing fact that we have to look at. That these two guys are our best pairing, but we've actually never played. Not never. I said we haven't played for them for a while. So this is something which I say is a very difficult one. And Amar, you're right. And I've said it a little earlier. Sana is someone who you should pick, but the coach has decided not to pick him. So therefore, difficult, right? So therefore, that's another reality. I'll ask why there is only one proper CDM, only Jigson. One would be wrong to say, because Suresh Wangjam is also a CDM. And so that's the other one. It shows our options in the attacking midfield positions, be it central or be it wide. And then again, Jigson is there, Suresh is there, and you have theoretically Thapa, who's not a natural CDM, but he might have to play there. So therefore, yeah, that's another situation that is there, and it's difficult sometimes to say why the coach um, has these issues with players. I think in other countries where you, again, if you're the French national team coach, if you're Didier Deschamps and you have a problem with, let's say, Karim Benzema, you have options. You can say, I leave Karim Benzema at home, and you still have a very, very good national team. You know, and that is something where it's very interesting because the coach also had a problem with Apuya, and after a certain period of time, Apuya was back because he realized he needed this player in defensive midfield or in midfield in general. I mean, think about what we played in the last 6 months without Apuya there. So therefore, that's already a big problem, a big blow for us that Apuya will be giving his exams and focusing on that rather than, being able to play for India. But again, I think on a personal front, I think Apuya is doing the right thing because he's preparing for his future. So that's that. And yeah, let's wait and see. Kumar says, I think the rift between Sana and Igor happened in Asian Games. After he dropped Sana, maybe, I don't know. Kumar, could be, could not be the case. It's always very difficult to say when, where, what happened. I think that's a challenge when one doesn't know the facts. So therefore, but there has to be some sort of problem between the coach and the players. Otherwise, the players would have been called up. And that's again, as I said, these are the challenges that you have when you put a team together, when you try and build a team, build a squad, and it's not easy. So therefore, there is the difficulty of things. So therefore, yeah, one will have to wait and see what happens. And again, these are realities. And problem with Karim is, I think he involved again. Yeah. Again, Kumar allegations. I think they've never been proved. So therefore, one has to be careful with those. Ahmed says, a midfield half form out or injury prone or not fit enough to play, there are chances to win. It is, our midfield is, as I said, we have got attacking options. We could play X number of wingers and we could still call up wingers who are not in the squad. But we have a problem when it comes to defensive midfield and, sort of blocking the game, which again is then also interlinked to our defense. I personally feel that, right? So that's the challenge I feel that we have to build a defense which is strong enough, defensive midfield which is a good block. That's a challenge. To me, these are the basic challenges that I think we have to try and sort of build something. And to me is something which is very difficult. I think for an Indian context, to try and build a team which is good enough to sustain pressure against opponents. Sorry, just a quick drink. As always, guys, those of you who are new to the channel, please subscribe to arunfoot. We're on YouTube and on my other social medias. And of course, everyone watching, please leave a like under this video. Watch other videos as well. I did a video yesterday on what I think is the current sort of status quo regarding players of Indian origin, and when I think realistically that we could see Indian players of origin representing us. Again, ongoing elections at the moment. So to me, it's very, very clear that, to come to that topic, I guess. But sorry, before I come to the PIOs and OCIs, let's talk about the strikers. What's your opinion, guys, about strikers? I mean, Sunil is there. Sunil's last game against Kuwait, and against Qatar, it's Manvir, Rahim Ali, Vikram, or David. or maybe Manvir, Vikram, Rahim Ali, David. Maybe that's where how I would sort of grade it. Do you guys see Manvir Singh most probably being our central striker? Rahim Ali is good second striker, not as proper number 9. Yeah, I think so. I think Rahim Ali is also one of those, like to some extent, like Manvir, who's played very well on the wings, right? So therefore, for me, yeah. So therefore, to me, it's a difficult one, right? When with Sunil gone, that position is going to be up for grabs. Even I did a video as potential alternatives, and maybe want to look at it few days ago. And again, who did I list? Of course, I had Changte in there as a false 9, Manvir, Vikram, Parthiv Gogoi, even Ishan Pandita, David, and Rinzwala. Those were the guys who I thought could potentially be options, right? So therefore, that's what it looked at. Vinny says strikers' instincts come with experience and 90 minutes and stuff. No 20-year-old striker is gonna score crazy goals. I agree. Experience and Vinit, I think that's at international level. I think that's the main thing. It's not just about what are you able to do, what are you able to create. I think that experience counts at international level. And Vinit saying Irfan Yadvat, to me is Irfan is not experienced enough, at the moment. I think he needs a full season of ISL and needs to get more game time. And it's going to be interesting next season if, let's say, Gurkirat also joins, right? So therefore, will be interesting to see at Chennai. Amal says David and Vikram at number 9. Okay, interesting. So, also plays Chanke on wings and Naram Singh if Sunil plays striker and plays Chanke as Sunil does not play. Let's see what he does. Manik says, Anauda, do you foresee Sunil starting against Kuwait? Yes. I mean, that's his final game. Monok, I think Sunil, if Sunil is not injured, Sunil will be on the pitch. 100%. So therefore, let's see what he does. Kumar's question, let me take that. Given in excellent form, Karabrasas, how he got injured suddenly in national camp. So many players from club got to national camp suddenly injured when they are in club, they are fit. Given was injured, didn't go, right? So he didn't come injured to the national team camp. So Kumar, there's one thing that there's a difference. But again, yes, I think the interesting part is the question is going to be who's going to be replacing Sunil against Qatar. That's a question that surely will be in the mind of Igor Stimac going forward, because again, at least he's got one more match, at least to coach after the Kuwait game. And then the question is again, Manvir, Vikram, Rahim Ali, David. Those are the 4 strikers that are in this team. I don't see David playing except if he's, again, experience is not there on his side, and international football is something different than playing I-League. So it's a question of if it's going to be Manvir, Vikram, what kind of mentality does he have? Or again, is Changte an option? So therefore, that is going to be an interesting part of the discussion of how do you manage, balance the whole thing? How do you play in such a situation? What are your options? So to me, those are things which I feel is we need to look at and think about. What are our striking options? I'm disappointed that Parthiv Gogoi got injured. So coming back to that point, Kumar, yes, you're right that there have been injuries to numerous players, and that's been happening. So and it's happened again. So therefore, that's not a good sign, so to say. That players come to national team camp are injured or are suddenly injured ahead of a national team camp. Again, conspiracy theorists will try and construct something over there. So for me, again, it's something that will be interesting to see what happens really to the players in the national team squad, and how the squad is built up in trying to cope with these situations. I think Kolkata on the 6th of June will be a very special atmosphere because it's a final game for India. India has not played well in the last few matches, especially that Afghanistan loss at home in Guwahati will be in the mind of a lot of people. So to me, it's a mixed bag, right? Because again, I remember that fans had said, you know what, we should boycott this game. We should not go there. We should not support and all that kind of stuff. And you know, and the thing is, to me, is that will be interesting to see how the players cope. On the striker thing, Manwe is not a striker. He's winger or wing back. He is not enough to play as a holding striker or pure box striker. Kumar, he's a striker. To me, and he's originally a striker. That's how he came up, you know, at Mohammedan Sporting, Bengal Santosh Trophy team, which he helped to win. So therefore, Manveer is originally a real out-and-out striker, and he can play as an out-and-out striker. He's not a winger or not a wing back. He's been used in those positions, but Rahim Ali, those are actually originally strikers. Rachit, good evening also from my side. Bhai, I'm doing very, very well. Hope you're doing fine as well. Everything good. So therefore, that's the thing, right? So again, this is the whole squad, and yeah, and therefore, it's going to be interesting how we are going to build towards that Kuwait game. Again, it's so to me is how do we prepare for this game? How ready are we? And with the coach having called up 41 players and 13 of them are out injured, that to me is not a good number. You know, that's not a good number, and that's again a different discussion on another day. Most probably we'll have. So let's wait and see what happens on Manveer. But how many minutes he played in ISL strikers, Kumar? It's not a question of how many minutes he's played as a striker. We have a lack of a striker, a real striker, right? And therefore, then you have to find solutions. And sometimes you have to look back and fall back in what positions are players comfortable or maybe not comfortable, right? And best example, I think, is Rahul Beke. Who would have thought 9 months ago that Rahul Beke would be one of the best, maybe the best Indian centre-back of the last season? Nobody, I think, right? So therefore, it's not a question. Again, as I'm saying, in the Manveer's case, I feel he had a natural position as a striker, so therefore he can play over there. The same thing applies to Rahim Ali as well. The question is, how can you in a national team get the maximum out of these guys? And that's the real challenge, I think. You know, Manak says, last time I've seen national team matches, all this team was against Afghanistan. When Sunil scored a beautiful goal from a free kick. Hope he repeats it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, 2022 in the Asian Cup qualifiers. That was Sunil, and that's something that he has he did that day. And again, he's one of the reasons why I remember I watched the Hong Kong game, which India won 4-0 a few days later. So yeah, that was quite impressive to say the least. Drifting a little away from it, but here that Vipin release clause is 90 lakhs. Do you think any team will go for him knowing that only 1 year is left in contract? Rachit, I think it's a question of there's a release clause, but again, it's a question of also if Mumbai City wants to retain the player, if they're thinking, okay, let me make money with the player, and maybe let's say someone pays you 40-50 lakhs and you take it. So therefore, let's see how they handle the whole thing. Ishan Pandit is the best option after Chhetri if used properly. I think Ishan Pandita needs to play. Ishan Pandita has not played enough over his whole career. I'll be very honest. In my opinion, Ishan has to play. He has to get X number of 90-minute matches into him. I think that's Ishan's biggest problem at senior level. He was a super sub in Goa. Even in Jamshedpur was used as a sub. Same thing at Blasters, and he hasn't had enough minutes, and that's the concern, right? If I think about, looking at the stats. I'm just checking it out from Transfermarkt. I'm just looking at it. He has 370 minutes in the ISL, no minutes in the ISL playoffs, 56 minutes in Durand Cup in 2 matches. So he's got 426 minutes last season. And that's just not enough, right? And if I take all of them together, here, he has in his professional career since 2020 till now 2,000 minutes. That's limited. He's got 10 goals. I mean, he's got 4 goals as a sub in the first season. In the second season, he had 3 goals. In the third season, he had 2. He had 1 then in the Super Cup, and thereafter he has not scored a goal for the Blasters. So that is my concern with someone like him, that he's not got enough, he hasn't played enough minutes. And, and Rachid, I'm reading it, if you consider all the aspects like heading ability, positioning, shooting, holding is simply ahead of others. I agree, but you need match practices, and therefore that's the challenge, and therefore, yeah, that will be an interesting one. Can Ishan not move out of India and small European countries like Andorra? Maybe, but again, with all the players, and we've spoken about this quite a bit over the last few weeks and months, is the challenge for an Indian player with the salaries that they're getting in the ISL. Do they want to go abroad? I think that's the huge challenge that we are facing. We are seeing with players. Do they want to move abroad? Do they think it's right to move abroad? It's a big challenge at the moment, and I think there is no yes or no answer to that, right? So therefore, I think if you ask me personally, I think a player like Ishan, I would suggest him to move abroad, because I don't, I think that someone like him needs to look at where could you go to get more minutes in the ISL? That I think for Ishan needs to be the question. Which coach, rather than not club, which coach could give you more game time than you're currently getting? I think that's the challenge for an Ishan Pandita, and that makes it difficult for him, right? The decision of what do I do? What is my next step? What would be the right next step for me in my career to try and be an asset to my club, but besides being an asset to my club, also being an asset for the national team. I think that is something which I would hope to see in someone like Ishan Pandita, because I go back to what Rachita said. He has certain abilities which I think very few to no other striker in India currently has. So that's a reality as well. So that's something, so therefore that's something. Kumar, I'll come to your question. We're just talking about Ishan. Or is lack of game time in recent past might create a problem? It's already created a problem, no? I think that for Ishan Pandita, he did not get a call up from Igor Stimac. The Igor Stimac tried other strikers because he's not getting game time. 400 minutes across the season, not enough, and just a little over 2,000 in 4 years of professional football means 500 on average, and you had your most actually at the start of your career, if I look at it. Or rather, last season was the most in Jamshedpur. But that's the challenge. And if I see most of the matches, yeah, it's a disturbing fact. So therefore, it'll be interesting to see. Rachit said, I think Ishan will set up very well under Kratke's system, but we already have Ayush. So sorry, Ishan. Ayush is Ayush. Again, as you say, I think there's no place at Mumbai City for Ishan Pandita. Why can't we play number 10 or Cam as withdrawn forward instead of putting someone is not playing as strikers? I said, Chante could be that option of being that false number 9, so to say. But my question is, we need to find we need to find a solution for Sunil Chhetri retiring. I think that's the question that is there for me in my mind, that we need solutions into finding players who can play in that position, and that's the challenge. That's the challenge. Kaushik, no news on Jamie McLaren. Nothing. He's talking to a number of clubs. How do I rate the new Kerala Blasters coach, Rachit? Interesting profile. A lot of experience, not only in Europe, but also in Asia. Maybe a little different in his approach, I think Mikhail will have than Vukovanovic. So, yeah, let's wait and see what he's able to do. Maya says, would it create a problem for moving abroad? No, I don't think so, Moinak, because I think the advantage that Ishan had, that Ishan has played abroad as well. He's played in Spain. So he has that experience of having been to a foreign country and having played in a foreign country more than others. So therefore, for me, if he moves abroad, I think is something which for him at the moment most probably will make sense. For me, I think moving abroad would make sense for him to try something abroad. I think might be a better thing than playing the next season of the ISL. Will Vikram play as a striker in Kuwait? Kaushik, Vikram will not start as a striker. Manveer will not start as a striker, or nobody else will start as a striker than Sunil. I was talking about the striker in regard to potentially the Qatar game when Sunil is no longer available. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who then plays against Qatar, and because Qatar also depends a little bit on what happens against Kuwait. If India win, suddenly the situation changes. If we lose, then it's another different scenario. If we draw, then it's another. So there are different scenarios, and therefore let's wait and see what happens against Kuwait. Again, I don't even know if Sunil will play the whole match or if Sunil comes off after 85 minutes or something. I don't know. It's all these things I think are fluid, depending on what happens in the game. I think that's going to be the big challenge on that day. Rachit, 4 crore per year for Diamantakos. Is it value for money or just Indian football market things? Rachit, I don't know if Diamantakos is going to get 4 crores. I think the real offer is a little less, but still, the offer that Diamantakos has from an East Bengal at a moment is on a level of ridiculousness, in the sense of, if you know that he's going to get 4 or 5 times the salary that he potentially could get in Europe, if not more. So therefore, then you know that the Indian football market in regard to the ISL, or forget the ISL, even in the I League, is too hot, is overheated. For clubs who are not making money, they're spending way too much on the players. On the Indian front, because we have a lack of a talent pool, that's the first problem. And on the foreigners, I think it's not always easy to convince a foreigner to come to India. I mean, if you pay him the same money as in, let's say, Greece or Cyprus or Spain or France or Germany or whatever, the player will not come. So you have to offer him X times more anyway. So, but now, if someone does well in the ISL, the other clubs jump on those players, and then the salary doubles, trebles, quadruples. That's what's been happening, and it's a dangerous trend. It's a dangerous trend, which I feel makes the commercial viability of clubs more and more unlikely, in my opinion, in my head. I think that's a huge challenge that Indian football is facing. that club football in India, if you want to make it commercially viable, getting tougher and tougher and getting more complicated and complex every day. So that's something which is there, which somehow needs to change. I don't know how, but things need to change. Otherwise, I don't know. I hope not, but you never know. Maybe the market will implode one day. That danger is there. So therefore, yeah, those things are sad realities of the Indian club football market. Yeah, I wanted to speak about a little bit on the PIOs because, as I said again, I did a video. I don't know if those of you have watched it, but again, I'll just post it here as well. So, on the PIOs. So, Kumar says, my question: why Eagles team was unable to overload the midfield, the penetration? Why wingers are not dropping to support the midfield? Want to stretch over? Why fullback staying back? Ask Igor Stimac would be my simple answer. The thing is, I think our team is not playing well. I think that's the first problem. Our team is not playing well, and the structure of the team is not right. So therefore, that is, so therefore, for me, very difficult to say who. Again, it depends on the coach, right? That you get the best out of the players and you get out also the best out of your formation. As we talked yesterday, right? You saw Atalanta Bergamo beat Bayer Leverkusen because they had the will, the power, and also the formation to press and do the thing at the right time. And our team doesn't do that. So therefore, very difficult, I think, to say what's going to happen. Who will be the best replacement for Baker in Mumbai City, considering he plays both centre back and right back? Rachit, I think I don't see a suitable replacement for him. I would hope, for example, that an Amay Ranawade comes back. I want to see Valpuya develop more. Mehtab Singh needs to develop more. If I look at players internally within the system, I don't see the right suitable players in the market, to be honest. You have to build. Peter Kratky will have to build that player in regard to the Mumbai City team. So yeah, those are the brutal realities of how things are at the moment, right? So therefore, we will not be able to change it. That's the replacements. That's the thing, right? Foreigners, you can go out into the market and try and buy, but Indian players, you'll have to live with either what you have or either you'll try and, one fictitious question for you from Monarch. If Vijay was playing ISL in recent times, what could be his market value? Monarch, football has changed over the last 20, 25 years, since I started watching football. So Vijay, of course, technically the most gifted footballer that I have seen in India. But the physicality aspect, he would have to be much better than he was in his playing days. So therefore, that's a challenge, I guess. And to me, he would be at least in the league of Changte or more, maybe higher than valued more than Changte at the moment. I guess Changte should be valued the highest amongst the Indian players, and this value should be higher than Changte, I would say. But the question is the physicality aspect, if I have to be honest at that. So that would be the challenge really with him. Janjoilian, hi, good evening. Also from my side, your starting 11 for Kuwait. Let me pick out the squad again, and then let's go through this. To me, Gurpreet. Again, I'm just looking at how Steamach would set it up, because it's not a question of how I would set it up, because I'm not there at training. I can't make judgments on that. So I guess it would be Gurpreet in goal, Nikhil Pujari as right back, Shubhashish Bose as left back, Anwar Adi, Rahul Beke as centre backs. Then the midfield combo. Suresh starts for me. Also Suresh and Jikson. If Brandon is fit, I would put Brandon in the hole as a 10. Changte and Manveer on the wings and Sunil up front. That's a thing, if you ask me, would be the starting 11 at the moment. So therefore, but let's see. Again, it's up to the coach. It's not my decision on who starts and who doesn't start. Regarding PIO, Kaushik asks, do you believe the Indian government will make amendments? What are the chances of it happening in your opinion? Kaushik, I have tried now for 23 years, on and off, to push the agenda of players of Indian origin representing India in football. And different governments, but at the end, the same decisions. So to me, the challenge is, will the government recognize and give football the importance that it needs? That is something talking about short to midterm. Or do we have to look at it in a way, coming about on the PIOs? Do we need to lose in the next SAF Cup to maybe Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, for the government to wake up? Does it give an importance to football? That's the point. So to me, it's a difficult question to answer, because again, we're having elections. We will have a government post 4th of June. We will very likely, be it the BJP staying in power or be it the opposition forming government, have a new sports minister, and then the conversations restart. So that's the reality of things that we have at the moment. And that's the challenge that we have, right? So therefore, for me, the challenge is, will the government recognize, the realities and allow it? And it's not just a football question, but I think it's a general sports question. Do you make amendments to the citizenship law, or do you make amendments of allowing person of origin to represent India via the OCI card? And that is the real challenge now that the AFF has on its the AFF, I'm saying, the government of India has to decide on how it wants to tackle this topic, this phenomenon, which is very, very tricky. So I'm not really press the 3 centre backs, wing back, and band have to build once they're pressing with 6 players. Yeah, that was that. Why man we are not now Mahesh Singh and Puchang playing where he plays, who don't not try to put him on left wing? Kumar, again, you can have a different opinion. I was asked, I thought this is something which I would do, so therefore that was my lineup. Should we have offended against European teams like they played in Turkey? Prasanjit, it depends on if European teams want to play us, right? The Turkey Women's Cup was an opportunity for us to go there and play teams like Kosovo. It's not, again, no one is waiting to play us, right? So if the AFF gets an opportunity, I'm sure they will try and do that. So therefore, let's see. Akshan Kabidas is first player to play in European top division, but his club relegated to second division of Andorra. Akshay, the first player to play top level division would be Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, and that is a while back in 2014, if I'm correct. So therefore, let's wait and see. General says, sir, who is your preferred right wing for Kuwait match? I want Changte to play full time. If you want him to score, Changte reads the game slowly and steadily and execute at the last minute. Yeah, I want Changte to start. Yeah. And to me is, to me is very, very clear that Changte at the moment is our best Indian footballer. And therefore, first of all, he needs to start, and let's see where the coach puts him, and how he uses him. So therefore, let's see. Kuwait beat Syria 2-1, lost 2-1 to Qatar. There is no way we beat Kuwait. Says the unknown West, but you remember that we beat them last year also twice. One penalties, of course, but again we beat them, right? So football is a crazy game. If you can't do mathematics and say, this team but this team, that team but that team, that's why the third result will be like this. It doesn't work that way. So therefore, that's something which we need to remember. Jiga Kratos says, if we qualify third round, then it will be a very good chance for us to allow OCI card holders to play for the national team. Then we can compete for that World Cup squad. Otherwise, it's not. Jiga, I don't think it's going to happen that quickly. I've done a video, and I've again watch here on my channel, and to me is very, very clear that OCI card holders, first of all, do these players all have an OCI card? That's the first one of regard to, because players have taken quite a long time. And then the second thing is, with the government having to come in, a new government coming in and all that kind of stuff, this will take at least 12 to 18 months to get sorted. So for September, that would be the next round of the qualifiers. I don't see OCIs playing for us. Very, very unlikely. Harry Mugasa is going to do a press conference after the squad announcement and answer the question why some players selected, some not, why Stimac doesn't do it, and why AF doesn't plan it. Has been since long time. Harry, again, good question. And to me it's a question that you would need to ask the coach or the FF or both, right? Is Kavidas the first player to score in European top league? That's a good question. I would have to think. I don't know. Did Mohammed Salim score for Celtic at the time when he went there in the 30s? I don't know. Rasanjit says, ISA clubs paying more than lower English clubs. Why will Indian players go abroad? That is the biggest problem, hard to sort. Yeah, but again, lower English clubs, if you look at clubs, let's say in Oxford United, do you think that Des Buckingham's team last season, does any Indian player get into his team? I don't think so. So that's the other problem, right? We have a quality problem. So Lord's team match will start with Lord Manveer on the right wing and Changte on the left wing. Let's see what he does. Kumar agrees to you. Then we played 2-2 with Iraq last year. How we get too bad in 1 year? Well, it's a good question, but the question to me is rather, was Iraq really playing to its strength, or is it not? So therefore, I don't know. We don't have to do that much thing. Only thing government can do that they can make OCI card holders legal for specific sports that players can hold us. Jiga, it doesn't happen that way, right? It will take time. Even if you want legislations, all that stuff, you need to get it through parliament and all and get it ratified. It will take time. So therefore, Classic Gaming is Andorra League as good as ISL. Classic Game, I don't know the standard of Andorra League in that sense to try and say it. It would be most probably a third, fourth tier league in Europe. Is the ISL as good as a third, fourth tier league in Europe? Sometimes difficult to say. So these comparisons are sometimes very, very difficult to make. Young Danda is having OCI card. He told us sometime back. Yeah, there are other players who have OCI cards as well. But again, the legislation needs to be changed. So I think that's the challenge, right? That's the challenge of including OCI players in the national team. I think that's the whole challenge in including the system, get all of these things done and structured. I think that's to effort, and the government is going to sort out these issues before these to play for thing. those guys are playing the league, right? So their league finishes a little later, so they've got less days. And again, to me is, yeah, it doesn't, it doesn't make a difference to me, and how many days a team prepares. If a team is ready to play, uh, and that's something which I think is a challenge. I think it's a huge. Sorry, got somehow disconnected. Sorry, where was I? Did Vijay Chetri play in Uruguay yet? No, none of it that I know about. So that is a fact about Vijay Chetri. Do you see no hunger in our team in institution compared to Constantine 2015, 2019? Harry Maguire, that's a very difficult question, because I think we have to differentiate, because I remember when Steve March came in, I saw the team live in Guwahati against Oman, where we lost the game 1-2. And then in the 0-0 draw in Doha, I was also in Doha for that game. So to me, it looked very, very well, looked very good. There seemed to be some sort of development in the team. And then COVID hit. And since COVID, I don't know, I have this feeling we have not really progressed. And we've rather, the coaches try to sell us that we're getting better, but I don't think so. And I think that there's a question also about talent base. We need to have a more general discussion on that. And let's wait and see what is happening. Akshay says, maybe video on Kabir Das. Yeah, I'll try and do one. Let's see if I have enough info. As we change for every sport, you cannot make concessions for only football. Kumar, I'm not talking, if the changes are made, it would have to be made generally for all sports. It's not football only. But the question is, then it helps tennis. There are players of Indian origin, not origin, there are players who have been Indians who've now played, especially in the US, and who've taken up US citizenship to be able to play on the ATP or WTA tour, who might be playing even in US colleges. So there are other sports as well. So I think it would work. Players nationally must be within 70 to issue. Is that rule applicable to play only as Bachchan played for Bury? But this law should be governed by UK Commission, right? No, Moinok, I think the rankings are now much less. I think for the work permit in the UK, you need to be top 30, and then there are exceptions. Baichung was made possible because there was a Labour MP at the time, Keith Vass, from Leicester, who helped Baichung to get a work permit. Sunil tried to get one 10 years later in 2009. Queen's Park Rangers wanted to sign Sunil Chhetri. I remember how that conversation started in Barcelona. To me, and Sunil didn't get a work permit. It was a 3-3 split verdict, and he didn't get a work permit. So therefore, yeah, that's something which happened. So how do you find stuff like Andorra's Semi-Professional League? Are there any good online forums where I can read such stuff? No, Ishan, it's knowledge. It's talking to people, working with people. I don't know any online forums as such, to be very honest. Classic is they always take old age players. They always do nonsense clearances. Long ball teamers don't have any vision for India. If we had, we would have created a new team with new ballers. Classic gaming. My simple question is: name me the new ballers. If you see whoever's the new coach who's coming in, if he brings in a young Indian team and says, "Listen, play football," are the young players better than the older ones? International football demands certain things. And one of the things which you need as an international footballer, in my opinion at least, is experience. So therefore, for me, that's a challenge. So therefore, let's see. We have some advantage like getting longer camps, but still I'm not that much confident we will win. But let's see after seeing national for a couple of months. Jigger, I don't know, if this longer camp business is helping, so therefore, let's see. And a funny one from Moinok, if on answering on if those old players play against us, they will play fantastic passing forward, starting from the back. Again, the reality is, guys, we are talking about India and its football. If you are talking about possession football, if you're looking at passing football, our players can't play that. Yeah? And so therefore, let's see. So we had a few interviews related to a lot of them believe that Germany can go all the way or at least reach the final. Are there any German players that you have your eyes on? Ishan asks. I am I would say that I think I've got a lot of expectations from Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz, but especially one of my favorites, Toni Kroos. So I think look forward to it. If Leroy Sané is fit, Germany can go all the way. Ishan says EU nations don't require work permit if they go from one EU nation to another, right? Yeah, that's one of the reasons that we have the European Union. Harry Maguire says, even if we win the Kuwait game or not, Sunil era is coming to an end. Do you see old players era coming to an end as well? We doing a fresh start with new plan afterwards. Harry, I asked that question. I've done a video on that where I asked, who could lead captain the Indian football national team in future. The question is if only Sunil is retiring, or let's say maybe a 33-year-old Rahul Beke might say, listen, guys, thank you very much. I'm done. Gurpreet is over 30. Maybe he stops. Sandesh is getting to that. Do these players retire? Might be, maybe, I don't know. So therefore, for me, we'll see. I think a lot depends on what happens against Kuwait. If we by any chance qualify for the third round, maybe some players will continue, because I think that's a motivation to play in that third round, which we've never played in. But if we're out and Stimac is gone and someone new comes in for September, I would think that there would be changes, and then we'll see again. But don't think that it will be that too much of a change. And so therefore, Drigger, it is an important game for him, because it decides on where the journey goes. Does he, as I would like to say, does he finally go, or does he actually stay? So that's the big question with Igor Stimac now, with all that we see that is happening. It is, I be, let's see what happens. Ishan says, I think we should completely forget about words like playing from the back, possession football, tiki-taka for 20 years or so, at least for senior team. Ishan, I will always say, a national team is not an experimenting ground. You have to try and play your best players, period. in a national team because you're going from one cycle to another. National team is very difficult to try and develop something. If you have that generation of saying, listen, if you've got an exceptional generation, I'll try and develop something, like for example, a Belgium had, then you can think about that. But normally it is like you've got senior players and then you've got younger ones who are pushing in, or someone who's older. Take a German example. Robert Andrich became a national team player nearly at the age of 30. Gross as well, who plays for Brighton. So you've got these exceptions. But for India, we have to be practical. Our aim has to be every 4 years to play the Asian Cup. That needs to be our mantra. If we can get into the third round of the World Cup qualifiers now or even in the next few cycles, that's a bonus. For us, we have to play Asian Cup. That's for me the start and ending of everything. So Ishan says, I still think our best bet remains sitting on the counters as opposed to passing football. We have the speed, but need better decision-making funds. I agree on that. If you look at Chante, if you look at Mandir, Vikram, we've got the speed. The finishing in the final third is the most important. Classic gaming says, for example, is far better than Baker. That Valpur. Simple question. If you believe what you're saying, that's nice. Have that belief. But his coach at club and his coach at national team level thinks otherwise. So I take Steamach aside. So Peter Kratky doesn't know anything as well, that he's playing Mehtab Singh and Beke in front of him. I think that should answer your question, right? Drigger says the national team only results matter, nothing else. If what is the use of playing possession football and we play most of the ballpark passes, that doesn't make any sense. To me, I want India to play a pragmatic style of football. Pragmatic means I have to look at the players I have available to me at my disposal. I have to look at who am I playing and then see, okay, let me get practical results. If I play an open game against a Qatar, I'm going to be thrashed. I need to shut shop, hit them on the counter. Like the 0-0 we played in 2019 in Doha. Qatar played 90 minutes. Played boom, 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 90 minutes. We could have beaten them. We had one good counter. Udanta could have scored. We didn't. So these are the realities of things, right? And the point is, we need to be practical with that. Because Steamach is an utter shameless person. Tomorrow he will forget what he said today. Yeah, that's one of those realities. And now why is this saying that we don't have money to get a new coach to sack Steamach? Now why is they lying to us? Kumar, they're not lying. If you see the AFF is cutting down on costs. Satya, as the acting general secretary, is cutting down costs wherever he can. So the AFF has a financial issue. He has the issue now as the current AFF that the old secretary general did the contract that he did with the coach because of recommendation from the technical committee. So again, they're trying to do their best, trying to manage the situation now, and they're stuck with what they have. And yes, you could fire Steamach, but the federation now would not have the money to actually say, listen, you know what, I fire Steamach, I bring in another foreign coach. India is not in the position, they're cutting down on the I-League structure, trying to save costs. They're cutting down everywhere where they can. Anyways, we have good crop at under 7 for many years, but that gets missing at senior level. Do you think that we'll like to see to senior transition and ROs provide a good alternative? Why they don't join Anik for game time? There are two things. To me is the transition, I've said it multiple times, is our biggest problem. From 16 to 21, we are not progressing them properly. The Arrows project was the best thing that could have happened for players. If you look at even the older ones, Gurpreet, Pritam Kotal, JJ, Dika, Pranay Halder, all these guys were part of the Arrows in 2010, 2011, 2012. A lot of the under-17 boys from the World Cup played in that team. They played in the Arrows and moved on. I think an Apuya or a Prabsukan Gill, just to name two, have gained massively from that and developed. So therefore, yeah, we need to find better solutions. And for the players to join I-League is very simple. The ISL clubs offer just too much money for these young Indian boys. But also the reality is, I saw the last year's under-17 here in Germany. I was not impressed. I've seen better teams, especially the under-17 World Cup, because they trained for 2.5 years, mainly abroad. Nico Adam had them for 2 years, and then Matos came in, and that team had an exposure level which no other team from India's ever had. So therefore, that is something which is very, very crucial. Igor Stimac came in India telling that he will make India a strong team in Asia and he would change the playing style from long ball to possession base. What he has done till now, nothing is a joke. Trigger, any coach coming to India and telling you I'm changing the style of play, I would be skeptical. Any coach. Because we have a problem to me is we have to be pragmatic. If I have, we've survived over the last 25 years that I've been watching football, because at the start I saw the starting was Anvij and Bajam Bhutia, then Bajam Bhutia, then Sunil came, Bajam Bhutia, Sunil, then JJ, and towards the end it's been Sunil, right? And you build your team around that. And we need to be pragmatic. Possession football sounds nice. I mean, how many teams can really play possession football like, a classic Barca, or play football like a Man City, or play pragmatic? Real Madrid plays pragmatic football and wins. So therefore, that would be the best for me, if you ask me. Even though under Steven, our football didn't look the most interesting, our team had a certain rhythm and flow. Our current team looks disjointed. Ishan, that I think is the best way to sum it up. That to me sums it up. Steven got a lot of stick. Steven was often criticized, but Steven knew he was realistic, he was pragmatic, and he's doing the same thing in Pakistan as well. He's done it in the past with his clubs and his national teams, be it the ones in Africa, be it even earlier with India, with Nepal. He is pragmatic. He has a simple system, but you have to work to that. Classic Gaming, U17 World Cup batch versus U17 Asian Cup 23 batch. Which one is better according to you? Answer briefly. It's under 17 World Cup squad. Way better. Way better. This last year's squad, not good. Ishan, in case FSDL doesn't sign a contract extension, that would mean that it would not receive crores of funding. So bye Indian football. Then it becomes even tougher. Well, for Indian football, it will become an even tougher scenario, because suddenly the AFF has a problem with 50 crores not coming to the federation, and maybe the ISL also not being there anymore. Those are realistic risks. So I think we need to raise the topic, talk about it. Around my question: how many Indian players play around zone 14, 15, and 16? How many Indian players can shoot and pass around those zones? They can. It's a question of if they want to or can't. That's something, Kumar. That again. How come financial issues have come when Indian youth national team does not play any matches like U17, 19, 23, and even I-League on is worst if you compare it with ISL? Trigger, the costs have gone up. I think post-COVID, costs have gone up quite a bit. That's the first thing that I'll say. A lot of these a lot of these youth camps, even abroad, were partly funded. The under-17 World Cup squad, for example, there was a special funding from the government of India, which was specific to the under-17 World Cup squad. They did the same thing with the under-17 Women's World Cup squad. So to me, And the the I-League, the costings have gone up dramatically from what I've heard. So therefore, the AFF is looking, for example, you held the IWL on a home and away format in the last few years. You've tried to push it to state associations, especially Odisha has been helping the AFF a lot. So then again, your operational costs are much higher. You can't spend a rupee, right? If you're spending a rupee, you were spending a rupee in 2019. That same rupee gives you maybe a value of I don't know, 75 paisa, maybe 70 paisa. So that's the situation for the federation. But the money hasn't increased. Ishan says we have a lot of age fraud as well. That's something as well, right? We have got 20, 21-year-olds playing in that system. Yeah, sorry, it doesn't work. It's a huge problem, According to you, name the best coaches for Indian team. Classic gaming, I think that's not a question at the moment to ask. Let Team Match go, and then we can have a discussion on who could be coaches, because I think, I'll throw in names, you will throw in names, other people throw in names, and suddenly you've got, I don't know, 200 names roaming around who could be national team coaches. So let that situation, let that situation happen, and then I think we can talk about it. Ishant, don't you think we have a good national coach in Habas, pragmatic, match winner, and also national team coach? Experience, conflict of interest, and favoritism will be a problem, though. I think Habas most probably isn't physically in a state of coaching anymore. So therefore, yeah. And again, you've mentioned the thing with I'm very careful with coaches who coach in the ISL, because they'll be biased towards the players that they've coached. Happens. If you see coaches who've come back into the ISL, they try and pick up players that they knew, be it a Lobera, be it a Quadrat, Manolo going to Goa and all. So that's something which happens. Kumar agrees on the age fraud. India U17 literally played a year ago. If we have to compete in top, we need to run the youth national team regularly. Even FIFA agrees teams to do. We now have a really great chance. Jigar, that's a very important point. The pre-COVID, the AFF actually had a program running the whole year with the under-17s outside of the windows where you had the under-17 youth leagues playing. That money is no longer available because the government is no longer funding that. So that's a big case. So yeah. If we're talking about United U20, it's done and dusted. They literally not play any matches. Yes, under 20 and under 23, I would say. In case we make it to the next round World Cup qualifiers, can we pursue our government to increasing the funding for marketing it as a historical achievement? Ishan, I don't know if the government will do it. I think, again, the first question is, let the elections go through, let a new government come in, let a new sports minister come in, and then we will most probably see what happens. And then we'll see what, that's the question, what happens, and then we see what can be done. But I don't know if the government put in more money. I'm lagging. I hope, Kasik, I'm fine again. I hope. So I know you are not obliged to know any other matter, but did you find it on how Indonesia lured Europeans to give up their passports? It's very simple, Sora, that they showed them the opportunity of playing international football. Very simply. And showing them and saying, listen, we're trying to grow the game. Their sports minister, their federation, they're all on the same, and interesting, as you said, Justin Hubner even more, he's given up Dutch passport, that's why he's playing in J League. Okay, very interesting. I didn't know that, but to me is I know from someone who's was a German citizen who is now playing for an Asian national team, that he told me that he has sort of, while he's playing, he's given up his German citizenship, So the German citizenship is sort of dormant or resting. And once his playing career is over, he's going to get his German citizenship back. Maybe that is a model that these boys are doing and implementing. But again, for something like this to happen, India, first of all, has to be welcoming to its, overseas citizens on a sporting front, and you have to show them something. And at the moment, I don't know what we can show them. And that's something. Kumar, now inflation is not high in India. It's very well controlled by government. India. Kumar, to me, I'm not talking about inflation rate. Again, if you look at inflation rates around the world, yeah, it was a little high, but it's quite controlled. But the cost of everything has dramatically gone up. I jokingly always say, you know what my personal test is. For example, when I go to Kolkata, I love to eat a kathi roll. Right? And that kathi roll, as a child, used to cost, when I started, a chicken kathi roll used to cost 3 rupees 50. That is, of course, increased over the years. And pre-COVID, that was around 45, 50. My preferred one is egg chicken roll. When I went back, 22, 23, that was 70, 75, 80. So there I see for me, that is the real inflation of things. So that means also when the AFF is doing to me is that's the real inflation. If you look at food pricing around the world, people tell us 5%, 6%, 7%. But if you look at food pricing, some of the prices have gone up dramatically post-COVID. But again, nobody talks about it. Totally different discussion. So let's get back to football. So the government is unlikely to start dual citizenship. Means one doesn't really have skin in the game. One can jump ship in moments of crisis, for example, like in Pakistan. Ishan, that's what I'm saying. I don't think dual citizenship is not. To me, dual citizenship is not the discussion over here. If we want to change things, for us, the real question is, can we get the government of India to recognize that the OCI passport per se is a document which, according to FIFA, again, I know this because my own OCI card has gone to FIFA, or my old PIO card went to FIFA in 2006, that we are in a situation that would be accepted. And so therefore, yeah, that would be more than enough. Sora says, well, the law of national football doesn't work with our diaspora players. Wonder what Indonesia has. They're even lower than us. See, Sora, there are two things. Our players would be interested. The OCI players would be interested to play for India. But even if an OCI player today said, listen, I want to play for India, I'm willing to take on an Indian passport. Player XYZ, it doesn't matter. Izumi Arata did it. Go back, last year I did an interview with Arata about generally what he's doing, and at the time his work with Reliance Foundation and playing in India. And it took him 5 years. Arata was playing in India. He was playing in the I-League. He was married to an Indian woman. It took him 5 years to get a passport. Michael Chopra wanted an Indian passport in 2009, 2010. Nobody came forward to help. So these are brutal realities of our system. So that's our. Yeah, Ishan, exactly. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. PIO card, I can say to me, because again, my PIO card went to FIFA in 2006. The AFF had sent my PIO card as a test case, and FIFA said it's okay. I can agree with you with the cost gone up. Thanks. Kabir looks promising. Again, hope he is. TSJN. So that's something. Yeah. Ishan, the problem is that FIFA is whether they will accept. No, they will accept it. Sora, they would accept it. As I said, I can say this because my own documentation went to there. I'm a German passport holder, German citizen, and have an OCI card. At the time, 2006, my PIO card went to FIFA. FIFA checked it. FIFA's fine. Government of India has to say, listen, PIOs, OCIs can represent India. Done. Case shut. Khatam. Players playing. No, it didn't happen. Yeah. So Michael Chops wanted to play for India. He was ready to give up his passport. But the process was too long. I mean, if Chops had started his process 2010, it would have finished in 2015. He was retired by then. But Simon was ready for Indian passport. It needs many years for it. Even if that moment was giving up Iranian passport, nothing happened to classic gaming. Very simple. These guys wanted to give up. As I say, to get an Indian passport takes long. Even Ranveer thought he'd come to India and the thing gets sorted in, let's say, 6 months. He would have wanted to do that. It doesn't work that way. Indian passport at the moment is not enough. If you want to give someone an Indian passport so that the person plays for us, it is not going to happen. So therefore, yeah. Can you say, Indian football actually? Sorry, can you name some people in Indian football that actually under football world? Ishan, can you please rephrase your question? I'm not getting your question. I think Foreign Minister Jaishankar can help. He has immense power, and the current government is working on Dr. Modi. If someone can convince him, it will happen. Kumar, I've spoken to the government. They're not bothered. So therefore, it doesn't matter. Did India try and naturalize Odafa Kohli? Am I right? No, Sora, that was a rumor at the time. I think it's the same thing. I think Chima Okere was at some stage, I think, was talking about wanting to be Indian citizenship. Didn't happen. So naturalizing foreigners is even tougher. You have players like Ansumana Kroma, for example, who's of course more. So therefore, married to someone from Kolkata as well. Ansumana Kroma is not going to get an Indian passport, right? So therefore, that's the thing. Utkarsh, good evening. You want to bleed blue? Yes. Understand football. Okay, you want to, sir, can you name some people in Indian football that actually understand football well so we can support them? Wow, it's a good one. Who would? I know few people. I mean, most people who I would suggest you to be following, who I know, who understand, for me, most of those people actually don't have social medias. So, the best guys in Indian football are the guys who are behind the scenes. I think so. There's a lot of them. So that's that. I think Simon's very impressed with Edmund, can get started Kuwait game. I would wish him so. Very talented boy. So does naturalization kill the whole concept of countries and people of origin? Doesn't a country become a club then? No, I don't think so, because the point is you've had players, if a player has been playing for a while, 3 years, 5 years, maybe even gets married to a local girl. I think then we have to be honest in saying that, that naturalization could be a step of doing it, and it's a win-win for both sides. So why not do it? Classic gaming. Why there are so many options for Indian football? Ramsa would be sad to see to football. Yeah, those are realities. Sadly, classic gaming, as sad as they are, but those are realities. So let's be real. Indian government has greater things to worry about. I love football, but it is not more important than poverty, eradication, employment generation. So I agree with you, but I think football is, as a sport, is a soft power, and this government, sadly, well, again, not this governments across the history of India have not understood the potential power that I feel that football as a sport has. To me, it's very, very difficult not to utilize sports in general, but football in specific, as a soft power. I mean, would you know anything about Brazil? or Argentina if there wasn't football? Would you know anything about, let's say, about Kenya if it wasn't running, or Jamaica, athletics? So therefore, sports is a big thing to utilize, and we don't do it. We in India, we sadly do not utilize it, and that's to me, is a disturbing trend. So we it's a lost opportunity. And to me, that's I think that's how I would sum it up. That if football as a sport is an opportunity, and we don't use it. Sorry, Kumar. What was Kumar? Sorry. If Olympics bid is successful, I think the government will provide more money, or will something for Indian football. Kumar, the same thing is about 2036. In India, they're talking about it. Are they talking to the IOC about it? Who are your contenders? Qatar is bidding. Turkey is bidding via Istanbul. Mexico is bidding via Mexico City. And Germany is set to bid as well. Are we going to get it? I don't know. I don't think so. So, as an answer to Ishan's question, look at Kazu Miura. He went to Brazil, became a national star, and Jap started leaving J-League to go abroad. Zora, not fully true, because the Japanese, the Chinese, or Koreans already in the 80s went to Europe. My home club, FC Remscheid, used to play second Bundesliga. We had a Japanese player in our team in the 80s. So that trend, Kazuyoshi Miura wasn't the first one to go abroad and wasn't the last Japanese, but the Japanese have been going. If you look at it, Bunkum Cha, or Cha Bunkum, was the first South Korean player. Okudera played at Cologne in the 80s, a Japanese player. You had Jiaji Shao playing at Frankfurt and Engi Kotpos. So you've had these players coming abroad. And now our current government, yoga soft power. This is, I don't know. I don't feel yoga is a soft power. I know I'm not going to say what I feel about yoga is anyway. Let's not get into that discussion. Honestly, I don't really expect much from government and sports ministry. Even when it comes to basketball, we have a lot of talent, but there's a lot of dirty politics in basketball in India. So bringing good players to play for India will push Indian football to level up by going abroad. Zora, I think the point is that if you can integrate players of origin, the quality of the national team, maybe not in the short term, but in the midterm, will surely go up, because you will have better quality players at your disposal, which means your players in your local leagues need to be better than the players who are actually playing for the national team. So either they get better themselves, or they realize, or will they go abroad to get better to be able to challenge these players? So therefore, it's not going to work. Are we generally to grow as promised? I don't know. I think it is it's IOC. No, she cannot. So how much a role do football turfs make in creating football culture? Countries like Thailand, Vietnam, a lot of turfs. Ishan, I think you have to differentiate between playing football as recreational, which is in a sense grassroots, and 11-a-side football, which is professional, semi-pro, and amateur. And to me, at the moment, the more people play football, how can you get them interested in Indian football? I think that's the challenge. I think there are more people playing football today across India than they play cricket. That's the reality. Cricket is a couch potato sport. So the question here is, how do we get all these people interested in football and play football, but at least follow football? Yeah, agree. Can India get to some matches in 2034 World Cup? I had some rumors. Sora at the moment looks, and let's wait and see. I think it's still quite far away, but at the moment it looks unlikely. Countries who are serious across all trades. Mine very well said. I think that's the main thing, right? It's our problem is that we need to be serious in the growth of the sporting culture, and that is something. Sporting culture needs to be there. There needs to be a culture of sports. That is something which I feel India is missing, and that is something which India needs to create. India needs to grow in, because otherwise, you keep on, we keep on turning in a wheel, right? We're going up and on, up and up and on. Nothing changes. We come back to the starting point, and we're still there where we were earlier. We come back to that point, and that's the biggest challenge. So for me, that's something. They're not. See, Sora, but they've got enough other sports, right? The Americans, for example, care about American football and baseball, where the rest of the world doesn't care about those sports. But America has multiple sports, and they now care about football. Football at grassroots level and women's football is bigger than anywhere else in the world. So when people say that the United States or North America is non-football, it's rubbish. That's the reality. What's your take on current U30 format allowed to play only 7 instead of 11? Kumar, it has its advantage, disadvantage. I think 13 is a transitional age where I think, maybe, I don't know. I at 13, you should be at least playing 9-a-sides. 7-a-sides is a little too small. It becomes more of a small field game. I don't know. And the transition, they need to get that transition right from grassroots to youth football. And that's a big challenge with the AFF, I think, for the AFF at the moment, and with Indian football. And so therefore, that's the challenge. And there's a lot of work. The AFF, the leadership of the AFF has a lot of work. You can also become world champion in sport like cricket and hockey. Doesn't mean much. World doesn't mean 8 to 10 series for country. Football is a true world sport. I think Ishan, very correct. But the point here is also then, at the end of the day, football is the only global sport in that way. Yeah. And therefore, it's something which is very tricky to try and compare. I think hockey, for example, hockey in Germany is a completely amateur sport. The players spend money to be able to play the sport. That's a reality. This is ranked too high at 10. They're not that good, in my opinion. Sora, that's your opinion. But again, they've had some success over the years. How do these tests take place? Are those foolproof or not? It's a testing of your bone. So they try to ascertain, your bones can say how old you are, or approximately say how old you are. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But it's the most foolproof test you have at the moment. There is no test in the world that you can say, listen, this person is 15 years and 222 days, and that kid is 14 years and 110 days. There is no test like that. Classic can say, imagine the population we have, still no success at sports. On the other hand, is China sports can create huge positive impact on our economy. Look at our unemployment. Sports can save us. Classic gaming, very valid point. Very, very valid point. So to me, is sports generally has a positive impact, and I think we need to get sports into our education as well. I think that's a very important thing. So there are multiple areas. So therefore, no. Amateurs, they reach the final. Zora, they've won the World Cup multiple times. They've won Olympic golds multiple times. They're amateurs. They don't earn. They pay to play the sport. The German hockey players pay to play the sport. They're happy if the clubs that they play for in the hockey Bundesliga pay them enough money to be able to, pay their fuel. So these are realities. Now the rumors that BJP win, Kalyan Chaudhary will replace with Power Tail faction will come back apart. You see that? Don't know about that. Sorry. TCN, I read and knew that very impressed with immorality and can get started. Yeah, you've said that already. Let me rethink. Can the reports be altered? The reports can't be altered because there is data. Now, you can interpret the data. That's, I think, the difficult part. And that's the challenge that's the challenge with all of this. So therefore, for me, but these tests are the most accurate that you can do. I mean, how can you prove that someone is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17? I don't know. There is no proof, right? We don't have, I don't know, an internal clock in somewhere which says, you are, I don't know, 3,000 days old. It doesn't happen. Ishan, on this age fraud thing, I think we should actually ridicule those who do it. Some people in cricket joke about it as if it is not an ethic offense, if not a criminal one. Ishan, it's the same in football. Some of the biggest so-called heroes in Indian football are the biggest age frauds when it comes to the system. And if you would go through most players in the system, everyone's age is not the real age. Sorry to say that. Real problems in Indian football. Zora, what is the perception about the Mannschaft for the upcoming Euros in domestic media? Zora, Germany, I think the mood switched in March after Toni Kroos announced he's returning. After Germany beat France and the Netherlands, those two wins have really, really changed things. I think the perception has changed. And I think Germany suddenly is again confident that they can potentially win the tournament. Yeah. So therefore, yeah, I'm hoping, and I think Germany will hopefully play a good tournament. I know players from Manipur have a stronger build at a young age, but this year youth looks prepared to be even by Manipur standards. Arnav, I've been saying this for years. I've raised the topic with the AFF when I was at Roundgrass. Nothing has ever happened. People know who the age frauds are. The age frauds are accepted. They run clubs. Problem. If, I think certain people for that, again, the players need to be banned. And the players who are doing this as coaches, as managers, as owners, should be suspended for life. Very simple. If they genuinely did it. If they didn't, that's a different thing. But a lot of people know it. What's the best technology age of the player? Kumar, I'm not an expert on this, but what I have heard and what I've been always told, TW3, the testing is the best one to do it. Isha said, no wonder a lot of our players start declining after they cross 30 on paper when they're around 34 at that age. That also explains early retirement. Yeah. So it's 1 year, 2 year. I mean, do you remember that case of the player who was supposedly the youngest goal scorer in the ISL, who turned out to be 12 years older? He was not 16, he was 28. So age fraud in India sometimes reaches a totally different level. And a good friend of mine said a while back when I was playing under 17 youth league, he says, listen, my kids are actually playing against their own fathers. That much of an age gap was sometimes there. So it's a massive problem. It's a massive, massive problem. So yeah, that's it. Once more reminder, wow, I want 48 minutes already. Those of you who have not subscribed, please subscribe to Arunfoot here. Please spread the word. Again, I'm still trying to get to that 1,000, and so for me, please support, and not only on YouTube, but also Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Threads, and of course also visit arunfoot.com. Also visit the videos, help me to grow my channel. Any idea in the Bundesliga, India Dream, were the players selected? Were the I don't. You see, Bundesliga, India Dreams project is a nice little thing. They're training at the moment in Frankfurt. I try and do something maybe with the Frankfurt guys next week. It's more of a PR thing. Don't expect now suddenly exceptional talent to come out of it. This, again, it wasn't scouted in a way that you would. These kind of things, if they were staying in Germany for 2-3 years, then it's a different thing. They're going for 2 weeks. They're going 1 week Frankfurt, 1 week Augsburg. This is not going to change the way that these kids play football. So, your opinion, Kabir not playing in Andorra, is it a good sign? Andorra, yeah, any player who goes to play in Europe is good. Andorra is not the best league in the world, but again, it's competition. He's playing. Is it a good sign? Yeah, he's there. That's good. Can't say more or less about it. How does Europe tap tackle age fraud curse that South America has too. Europe is very simple. You have to register your kid, at least in let's say Western Europe. Eastern Europe, it is sometimes a problem as well. You have to register the birth within 24 hours. So you can't manipulate documents. When I was born, within 24 hours, the city council got the info from the hospital. This boy, who was then named Ornavo, was born. Khatam. South America, massive problem. Ask Ronaldinho or the real Ronaldo. Do they know their real ages? I don't think so. So therefore, in most of the world, it's a problem. Africa, as you say, is a problem. South America, it's a problem. Eastern Europe, a lot of players have a 1st of Jan date of birth. So these are real issues that are there. So yeah, these are there. MRI. Kumar, as I said, I'm not an expert on this. I've been told by multiple people who work in this area, who are doctors, who are sports scientists, that this is the best test. So therefore, I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you. I should say what really irritates us when AO starts various projects like futsal, beach soccer, when we don't even have funds for regular football. Yeah, you will say it's useless. Others will say it's needed. You have to also fulfill certain criteria with FIFA and AFC to have national teams in all kinds of sports. So therefore, yeah, it's a tough one. Guys, 1 hour and 51 minutes. This was a longer one, as I said. As always, please spread the word. Help me move towards the 1,000 subscribers base. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And spread the word. Let's have more people join in the discussion. And that's the Sora's question. Yeah, I think most of German football fans are supporting Dortmund against Real Madrid in the Champions League final next week. So yeah, Germany is relatively together on this fact and are hoping that Dortmund can lift the Champions League. So therefore, so let's see and where it goes. So guys, once again, thanks a lot. Some of your questions again, I see new ones. If I start, then we'll continue. I'll stop with Sora's question for today. I'll be back maybe tomorrow. Let's see if I can figure out a time. Otherwise, Sunday, most probably I can't be able to do it, but most probably on latest on Monday. But also, if you have topics that you want me to do videos about, put them in the comments. I read all the comments and I try and do some stuff. Goodbye. Also, thank you, Kumar, as well, for your questions. Thank you also, Sora, for your questions. And I'll be back in the coming days. And as I said, please, those who might be watching afterwards, subscribe to arunfoot on my other social medias, and I'll be very, very back. Good night, Classic Gaming. Good night, Ishan. Good night, everyone. Bye, Arnab, and I'll be back very, very soon. Good night.